You all know me. My name is Steven, and yeah, you're just coding with me. So I forgot to turn on the microphone. I decided to do today's learning using the computer. No, I decided to do a voiceover. Right now I'm speaking voiceover. Okay, I'm trying to see the screen and I'm trying to speak exactly what I did. For those who are learning afresh, we can learn together this programming course. So there's this tool I learned called Cargo Format. Cargo Format just refactors your entire code to be more readable and easy debugging. With AI tools, most of the people forget about debugging and all this other stuff. So the main aim of relearning Rust is that most AI tools cannot be able to write large code bases of Rust well. So you need to understand about the different functions, how they're doing. You have to understand what the AI is doing for you and the tools and how to format the code. In case some other stuffs like writing the code, yeah, can test it. So I wanted to look about data types, but when I was checking data types, something else came into my head. And this something else is, yeah, every value in Rust is a certain data type, and this tells Rust which kinds of data is being specified so that it knows how to work with the data. Well, we'll look at the two data types, scalar and compound. So what's scalar? I don't know. Anyway, keep in mind that Rust is statically typed language, which means that it must know types of all the variables at compile time. Okay, we use this string. Yeah, I came about this library called string.new. We covered it in the previous course, and that got me a little bit distracted because I wanted to check, hey, what is this new code does? Yeah. So for example, this parse let guess is a U32, and then you converting a string to an integer using parse, P-A-R-S-E. So as you can see, the server is running hello world, and we're using the cargo watch package or crate. These programming languages, they use crate to do these kinds of cargo watch, cargo do this, cargo do that. So we're going to create another function called function. And before we go into these strings and all this other stuff, I wanted us to, yeah, yesterday I talked about something different. It was about the creating of different modules and the packages. And I don't know if it is, yeah, I produced this video yesterday, so just explaining what I'm doing. Function say hello, we print line, enter your name, and then we have to pick the name of the user. And for this, we need the standard library IO, standard package in an IO library. We extract the standard input function. So we have to import using use standard, then 2 colons, then IO. Then when you're trying to read this data, you say let mutable name is equal to string new. This one picks the new string, empty string, and the mutability. The mutability is all about making a variable that can be inserted additional data, just modifying it. If you don't specify the keyword mute, then your entire code or your entire variable will not be changed in the entire full code. So once you have initialized the mutable variable name, to read a value, you say IO, which you have imported from the crate, standard input function, dot read underscore line. Then you pass in the buffer, which is the variable that we have. And this variable is a pointer to the mutable variable. For example, pointer to the mutable variable name that we have. Now, once you have this, we want to, there are different types of handling in the error. What if this one crashes? We can use except, just a moment. Remember this command that I used to match into OK and the error statement. And I remember that's not how you wrap it. You wrap it with match. You can handle the errors in two ways. The first way of handling the error is using the .expect. The next one is, I think, expect underscore message. I can't remember all of them because this main course is about relearning, so that anyone else who is trying to learn can learn afresh based on someone who is experienced. But it's been long since I used Rust, almost 2 years. So I forgot about this, but the other method is you start with a map statement and then your expression, and then you enter two curly braces, and the two curly braces inside it you say okay statement with a message, okay, and the message you express it double arrow. You can use the curly braces, but you can also decide not to use the curly braces, but that was the only choice. So I was trying to remember so hard how I did this. So I decided to go and search in a browser and see what if you don't do this, then this function won't be called, and this is the match statement. So if you go and check it out, it will be all right. Let's see. Yeah, well, I have all these errors. Well, no, there's no error now. I almost tensed. Okay, so I entered my name, hello Nev 11. We want to do an error, so we're going to save the file twice and go back to our terminal and see what is there. You see, cargo format is, remember, is all formatting, and I realized that it does the format automatically when you're using VS Code, so it doesn't do any difference. I'm going to enter space, no space doesn't. Basically, this is the work of this. I'm going to use another example of parse. Going to use another example of parse, and parse basically of entering a number, and this function called function add number, and then the curly braces and the brackets, and we want to the user to enter one number and let our mutable variable b is what the user will enter. So I've entered a new string, but we have to make it mutable to be changed. It's a string data type, and remember data types must be explicitly be said before doing anything. And we have to match a statement. For example, that's how we learned about error handling, because we want to match. If it's error, we tell the user invalid input. If it's okay, we tell the user this is the output, and we do the calculation. So if it's an okay statement, we say let b is equals to 832. This is just the code editor. Nowadays programming is very easy. You don't have to struggle. So see, let b, which is an i32 type, we match again b.trim.parse. If this match statement, if it's not an error, if it's not an error, we return a number, as you can see by the arrow. If it's an error, we print line invalid input. Then we end the match, the first okay statement. If it's an error, we have to, there's no error, sorry, there's no error, because yes, there's error, but we haven't done already the calculation, because we have to take the variable, we match it. If it's okay, if it's an error, we just break this loop. We say invalid input, please enter valid number, then we break the variable, we break the entire loop of the entire match statement, and then the system crashes. Okay, if you use return, is the same thing as expect statement. Code, this allows code that has not been used not to be shown in terms of error. So this is just a course for relearning. It's not big deal if you leave your code out there carelessly, but if in a good project, you have to make sure every code that has not been used, it is accounted for, and if it's not, it has to be removed, because it's just filling up the code base. So I'm going to save this file and we're testing it. Enter number to add to 3. So it tests the real number. It says the sum of 5 and 2 that is to that 7. So it does the sum correctly as expected. So we want to do something like a loop so that we can test an error. So I'm going to just save this file. Okay, it's saving. And I remember a package that I remembered a package that I used to go with. It's called random.rng. In the first video, I learned about this package. We learned about this package. So I want the first variable to be generated to be a random number between random range. So we're going to run like package manager and run random range. Then we say from 1, and then 2 dots is just a short form of range, to 100. Now we say dot expect. This is another way of handling error, and there's also another way of handling error. We can say match statement. We can just realize random 32, and then there's no need to handle the error statement. So once we generated the random number, we want it to be something like a loop, and this statement loop just loops the number over and over and over. We're going to copy the contents of the entire file, we add it into the loop, so that the first time we test it, it goes on and until it breaks. So we want to test until it breaks. So enter number to add. Okay, 100. The sum of 71 is 171. So we're going to enter a number like 0. Okay, it's correct. This entire number. The entire system panicked when I entered the wrong number. Invalid input. Please enter a valid number. So it panics when I enter invalid number. There's a statement in other programming languages called continue that I realized that this continue statement variables are skips to the next, just continue going on and skip to the next. So we add it like this, continue, and we remove one semicolon. Of course, Rust is a very serious programming language, so if I just enter number and enter random number, it's going to continue me to the next point. So these are just the roots of programming. Most of the people who are there before AI know that every programming language has a set of rules, like if-else statement structure, the variable naming, the match statements, the loop, the functions, the classes. So we've already covered the .parse method. If you take a string, then you want to convert that string into number, you use .parse method. If you want to convert this string, for example, the only way to take a value from the user the only way to take a variable from the user to from the terminal to the code is by strings, and these strings you can do it only by or via strings, and this number you can convert it using parse method, and then this parse you take it and you convert it into a number or integer 32. So I can't remember how to create files in folders, but coming from a framework person, Angular framework, I realized that you can handle large codes using files in folders. So we have to utilize these AI tools. So I want to understand how can I create files in folders in my system, especially Rust. And I can't remember this thing. As things, too fast. Okay, to organize my Rust code to different files and folders, you need the Rust module mod, and the structure is so simple. It's just the cargo source, and then the file, then the mod. Every file has a mod. Every file has a mod like that and like that and that. That is a directory structure. So this is what you're going to implement. So we'll create a file like this, and then we create a folder called day 1, day 2, because day 1 already exists, and in day 2 we want our file day2.rs to be inside the day 2. And from what we have learned, you create a file under the folder called mod.rs, and then the mod.rs, we have to take the contents of day 2. We can add, like, for example, math calculations forgot about the dot, math calculation.rs, and this .rs is just a extension for Rust files. And here you take our entire code, our entire function, we copy everything, we add it there, and if you want to import it, you have to initialize the mod 5.5, I can't remember this, but I'm carrying the import, and we have to paste. This is the import, and then we paste our functions, we save our file, and then we have to register it in our file, and register it. It's mod, then the file. Okay, I can't remember. Is it public mod day 3? I forgot about this. I thought that, do you initialize the variable, or what do you do? But the real thing is that you have to initialize the file name. So if I create a file called math calculation, I have to say mod math calculation, and the main.rs, I have to initialize the name. For example, I have to say mod day 3. Yeah, this is how you import the functions, and using the functions, you just use them here. Say hello. Yeah, those are the two functions. Then I save. I thought I was good to go, but some error started. For example, day 3 says cannot find. Oh, great. Day 3, this scope user unresolved. Great. Okay. To fix this, we have to go there. To solve this, we have to go back to our crate. Is this file? Okay, they are saying, how can I create a lib.rs file and register all my modules there? Now I'm wondering, how can I do this? So they're saying the project structure. Okay, that one I understand. This one I understand. Okay, registering module in lib.rs. I don't want to put everything in lib.rs, but I remember it was somehow good. Can I call it good? It seems somehow well organized, creating it in mod.rs. But after doing my research, I realized that lib.rs is not that secure, because main.rs is going to treat lib.rs as an external package that has been configured and tested, and something very, very compiled. It won't compile it in compile time like the entire package manager. So the best idea is to store everything in your main.rs. But in the future, I think I'm going to add lib.rs. So that's what I kept learning. So this is the file, and I think how I can import it. You have to initialize it as module day 3 in the main.rs. Once you've initialized the module day 3, we go back to a function, and here you have to initialize the name of the file. We can say public module math calculations. No, it's not supposed to behave like this. So to do this, I have to rename every subfile should be named using the underscore, and you have to initialize it like public module, then the name of then I save. When I save this module, every module for this folder will be initialized here. And there's another error, math calculations. Why? Yeah, it has gone. So we have two functions that are private that I have to declare public, so that the main.rs file can be able to find it. So I'm going to build to the function, and then we have to initialize it as pub. P-U-B. That is the formula for public. So I thought at first it was public because programming languages, most of them are public, I think JavaScript, but it's pub. And I save it, and there's no error. That's how you edit the file, and when you test it, the entire functions that we transferred works well. And wahala, should I say wahala? But that's how you create files and folders, and you register and you link them to the main.rs in Rust, and that's how we do the parse.